Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 5 spoiler review. So if you've not seen the episode, please do not watch the rest of this video. Come back after you checked out the episode and we'll, discuss it more then. Alright, now that we got that warning out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into episode 5 here. Episode 3 and 4 I felt was a lot more action driven, but episode 5 here takes a little bit of a step back and slows down a little bit, as it probably should, because you got to ramp it up again before the finale next week on April 23rd on Disney Plus for the final episode, episode 6 of The Falcon and Winter Soldier. This episode, episode 5, started out right where episode 4 left off. Right after John Walker completely murders this dude from the Flag Smashers, and you got, Walker dealing with the ramifications of that. And it's a great scene where he's like got this inner struggle, inner turmoil, and but at the same time, he feels it was the right thing for him to do. And of course, Sam and Bucky have to confront him about this, and they realize, and they've known this whole time, obviously, this guy is not meant to take on the mantle and the shield of Captain America, Steve Rogers. So they confront him in order to get this shield back from him. And in doing so, it leads to a great standoff, but reminiscent of Captain America Civil War, where you had Bucky and Sam on one side and John Walker on the other. It's very reminiscent of when Iron Man was against Captain America and Bucky. It was really calling back to that movie, and it was very beautiful. The fight's really well done. I mean, obviously, and Sam's wings get destroyed in this fight. So I mean, it's very intense, and it was very well done. And obviously, the fight ends with Sam and Bucky getting the shield, and then they got to decide what to do with it. And by the end of this episode, it looks as if Sam is finally starting to accept the fact that he's going to have to be the one to take on the mantle of Captain America, because he is the one that Steve Rogers chose, and he is the right man for the job because of who he is. And obviously, they dive a lot into this episode about how, Bucky thought that Sam was, wrong for putting the shield down. And then, of course, throughout this episode, Sam and Bucky realize a little bit about each other. They maybe could have been wrong about each other to a degree and stuff like that. And obviously, at one point, Bucky even tells him, like, man, I didn't know the stuff you were going through. It was a really good scene when they were throwing the shield around at the end of this episode, and they basically come to this understanding about each other's situation, and they have definitely become more, even though they wouldn't say a team or a partnership, they definitely, were much closer. They have a stronger bond now than they did at the beginning of this series. So I thought that was very well done, and I cannot wait. Obviously, the end of this episode saw, Sam getting this box from the Wakandans that Bucky had gotten, and Bucky delivered it to him. And I believe at the end of this episode, he's opening it up, and inside that box is most likely the new suit for Falcon, it'll be a Captain America inspired suit that Falcon will take on. It will no longer be Falcon. He will be the new Captain America. Speaking of Falcon, though, there was a scene in this show where Sam Wilson's buddy, Torres, saw the broken Falcon suit. And, of course, Sam's got the shield. And Torres is like, well, do you want the wings back? Do you want the suit? And Torres or Falcon looks at him and says, keep it. And it's a nice little, for those who don't know, in the comics, Torres becomes Sam Wilson's Falcon. So Sam Wilson would become Captain America, and Torres becomes the new Falcon. So we'll see if the Marvel Cinematic Universe does something with that. It obviously looked like they were maybe going to. So we'll see if that continues, or if it was just kind of a nice little Easter egg, because Sam Wilson is letting the wings go. But we'll see if that new Falcon, or that new Captain America suit that Sam dons is going to have wings or not. I'm not sure. I think there's been some iterations where the characters had wings, and there's been some maybe where it doesn't. But yeah, Sam definitely looked like he was maybe talking about giving up the wings. So we'll see what he does. And I love the scene, like I said, where they were training with the shield, and Sam was getting much better with it, and obviously learning how to use it and being as physically fit as he possibly can to take on this role. It's interesting because Sam is obviously not a super soldier like Steve Rogers was, but because Sam is a good man, it makes him right for this role. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch him as the new Captain America. Obviously, this show delved into the idea of what it would be like for a black man to take over that mantle. And the show brings up a good point. There were times in history where, governments and people would not accept such a thing. And I think they tackled it in a very tasteful way. And, this whole show has kind of tackled that to a degree, especially with the scene earlier in an episode before where, cops tried to, even arrest Sam a little bit just for, having an argument with Bucky in the street. And obviously they're playing on some of the real life aspects of some of the political nature of things that's going on in the world right now. It's usually a thing I kind of try to avoid on my channel. But a lot of times in movies, they like to tackle this stuff. And if done in a way, it can be good for the soul and it can be good for society in general, because, I think we all just need to love one another. And I think that's the point. Obviously, I have my political opinions. Everybody does. But you know what? That we're talking movies here. We're going to stick to that. But I did think that this episode did a good job of kind of diving into that bit of controversy. It could be, for that character to take on the mantle. But we'll see how the MCU world actually, accepts him as the character. They should, but you know how, governments and things like that are. They want to select who they want it to be. But obviously John Walker was the wrong call, because in this episode we see him, facing the consequences for his actions of killing that man on, in public sight. And obviously, John Walker is a jealous man. He is I don't know if he's actually bad at his core, but he is not right mentally. He thinks he should be more. He wants more. He's almost obsessed with the idea of being Captain America. And it's a scary thing. Some of the best villains think that what they're doing is right. And I think that John Walker could be that. I don't know where the comics go with his character. Again, I'm more of a movie guy. I'm more of the MCU on TV and movies type of guy. So I don't know where the comics go with his character. I know the character becomes U.S. Agent in the comics, which, jumping ahead a little bit here, we got an end credit scene where he is forging his own shield with the medals he got, with his medals of honor. And obviously that's going to, I think, become he's going to become U.S. agent, but whether or not he's going to be a villain or kind of an anti-hero, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I think he's going to try and confront, Sam and Bucky. We'll see how that goes, maybe to try to take back his mantle. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this goes, but we'll have to wait until the finale to find out. Also in this episode, we got an interesting, I don't know if you call it a cameo or an appearance, but it's the first time I've ever seen her in the MCU. Julie Louis-Dreyfus, she shows up. I can't remember the name of her character, but she was basically, it was Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine. So I've heard of this character. Again, I don't know much about it yet. I'm interested to see where this goes, but she was basically, prodding John Walker and basically saying, you did the right thing by taking the serum. It has made you very, very valuable to certain people. Again, where is that going to lead John Walker's character? I mean, this season may end with John Walker joining Fontaine. Obviously, she strikes me as a bit of a villainess. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. But yeah, it was highly interesting to see the old Seinfeld Elaine show up in this series. I did not expect her to be in this series at all. But it was a nice thing to see because I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, so I'm interested to see what she does with this character. So yeah, I mean, one more thing before I go here too. We got to see Baron Zemo. What happened to him after he escaped in the last episode? He was back in Sokovia at the memorial, and he tried to, pretty well ask Bucky to kill Carly. But Bucky then teased like he was going to kill Zemo and then pulled the trigger and there was no bullets in the gun. So clearly Bucky hands Baron Zemo over to the Wakandans and the Dora Milaje, and that's where we last leave Zemo. And he will be facing consequences for the murder of King T'Chaka. I don't know if that means that we're going to get Baron Zemo in Black Panther 2, which is supposed to be out in 2023 or 2022. I'm sorry. So that may be he might be the central villain of that film. I I know they've not really said a whole lot of details about Black Panther 2 yet, but that's a very high possibility. Possibly that, we get Zemo there and get more of his dark side. I mean, obviously he was great in this series. We didn't get as much of him in the mask yet that I wanted to see. We got a little tease of it, so to speak, and obviously he's very conniving. So I think he could very well work in the Black Panther 2 film as a villain, dealing with all the consequences of his actions in Civil War. And of course, with no more Chadwick Boseman being around, unfortunately, I don't know what they're going to do with King T'Challa right now, but we're going to see what they do. They did say that they were going to be taking Zemo to the raft, which we also saw in Civil War. That it's designed to hold superhumans. So we'll see if again, maybe he's just there until somebody breaks him out later down the line in another show or another movie or whatever. Maybe even Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2. That could always be a possibility. But obviously the Wakandans wanted to get him because of what happened, and they finally have their man. So we'll see what they do. There's a lot of stuff. I'm just can't wait for the finale of this. The finale of this show is going to be off the chain. We're going to have to get some resolution to Carly's character. Obviously, she's gone off the rails doing her own thing, and she brought and that's another thing. Sharon Carter. She's been in some stuff. I don't know exactly what's happened with her character, but she's obviously got some dark connections, and she ends up getting Batroc the Leaper to come back. George St. Pierre. He's coming back for the finale, looks like, and they're going to, go after Bucky and Sam from the looks of things, and this could end up very badly. But I got a feeling Carly is going to have to, she's going to end up dying before she gives up her, her cause. So I don't know where this is leading, but I'm highly intrigued to see what they do in this finale and to see where Marvel, as they always do, set up the future for their series and films. So, but what do you guys think? Comment down below, hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content on my channel. And until my next video, guys, take care.